Hi, I'm so glad you stopped by to listen to my story. It's the story of thousands of other senior citizens such as myself. My name is Jan Cooper. I'm 73 years old and recently have become the widow of a World War II highly decorated veteran. My story begins actually in 1979 when Bob and I jointly purchased our home in Anaheim, California. It was an older home and in much need of repairs at that time. As the years passed and we had both stopped working, I became eligible for Social Security. And in 2003, we qualified for a low interest, low income loan from the County of Orange in California to hire contractors to come in and do the much needed repairs along with upgrading the older home. Had been built in the early 50s. We opted at that time also to check into reverse mortgages and maybe take out a reverse mortgage to pay for this loan so that we didn't have payments to make on it. Bob was a few years my senior, and when we were interviewed, as the law requires, by a third party, and when a third party filled out the paperwork for us, we were instructed that I really should take my name off of our deed or the title of the house and grant my half over to Bob so that we would be able to obtain additional funding to help pay for the repairs and the work on the home. So we did. We thought that sounded like a good idea to us, so we did. I took my name off of our deed or title of the house. So now the house became just Bob's. We were also instructed at that time we had what's called a living trust. And the living trust in California is if one person passes before the other, the properties and home are just immediately transferred over without having to take the time to go through probate. As I said, we were instructed we had to remove that as well. It was listed on the deed, but we had to delete that from the deed as well. Now fast forward to 2006, we rewrote the mortgage to finish doing repairs on the home, and I had had a couple of heart attacks by that time, and my husband had been recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's, so we needed the additional funding in order to catch up with medical bills that had begun developing. Jump ahead again, that was in 2006. My husband, the Alzheimer was slow to progress, and ultimately he did develop cancer, and he passed away this past January 30th. With that said, prior to his even being buried, and he was buried in a national cemetery as being a World War II veteran, and prior to his actual burial, I was contacted by Financial Freedom, the mortgagee that held the reverse mortgage, indicating that I had choices. I could either pay off the mortgage, the reverse that they had funded us, I could buy the house outright, or I could sell the house, or just turn the house over to them. I wanted to stay in my home. We had lived in it for 36 years, and it was my home. It was my only home with my husband, and he passed away here. I did not want to leave my home. Unbeknownst to me, because I was unable to show proof that we had actually, that I had actually made a physical effort on the sale of the house within, I think it was in 90 days that is required to be done. I lost all rights for any type of extension to keep my house from going into foreclosure. So the house went into foreclosure. It is currently in foreclosure now that will end as of September the 8th, only because there is a 60-day extension because HUD came out with a new policy on June 25th under court order to find a way to allow seniors, such as in my circumstances being what's called a non-borrowing surviving spouse, to be able to remain in their homes. Since the requirements were recent, the Financial Freedom, who is actually owned by One West Bank, who was formerly owned, Indy Mac, I think was the name. Anyway, I was informed that though I met all of the criteria, there was one factor that I could not meet, and that was because we did have the reverse mortgage for a while. We had received funding from it, and they would only allow up to an amount of which I would have qualified for at the time we got it. We had exceeded that amount, so therefore I did not qualify for what was being offered in indefinite extension by HUD. Now, since I have been denied any type of extension, my house will be sold under a trustee sale. October the 3rd is the sale date. What I am attempting to do, and I have all the details, the documents from the courts, the HUD new policies and everything. HUD has apparently decided that they are trying to make it as strict as possible for any senior citizen who is not listed on the deed, regardless of circumstances, to not be allowed to stay in their home. In short, kicked out into the street. And that's exactly what is going to happen to me come October the 3rd. I have absolutely no place to go. I've had a few friends across the country offer me rooms to stay in. I can't do that. I just can't. There's just no way. I will take what belongings I can put in my car and my dog, and if necessary, I will sleep in my van. I have no choice. The sad part about it is I've attempted to contact media, journalists, television programs, newspapers, news magazines, and attempting to let the world and the country know what HUD is doing to so many senior citizens out here. We were misled and told at the onset for me to remove my name from the deed. We were misled and told at the onset we must take our living trust off. Unbeknownst to me, when we did attempt to, when I say we, I'm speaking of my daughter helping me, when the attempt was made to get my house at least listed and hopefully sold between now and October the 3rd, I found out I have no legal right to my property. Even though my husband and I bought it in '79, and I'm still living here now, I have to go through probate to get the court to say, yes, Jan Cooper was a legally married spouse and she has the right to her home. So here I am, a senior citizen, severe heart disease, and I'm going to be kicked out of my home of which I've lived in for 36 years. If my husband knew that this was going to be happening, he would turn over in his grave. And I know that this country, they advertise reverse mortgage. They are a wonderful tool for seniors, but there has been misleading facts given to seniors back at the onset, so much so to the point that HUD has made exceptions and changes for anyone now getting a reverse mortgage, so this won't happen to people such as us, but they've not been able to accommodate us. So though HUD was developed in order to get seniors, to keep them in their homes, reverse mortgages were so that seniors wouldn't end up losing their homes or being in the street, they themselves are forcing seniors such as me out into the street. I am not exaggerating. I will be in the street after living in my home for 36 years. All I'm asking, if you will take this short video clip, send it to everyone on your email list, send it to Facebook, tweet out the link, send it to your lawmakers, to the news media. Somehow, if it can't help me, maybe at least we can get people across this country know that so many senior citizens are being literally kicked out into the streets and their homes being lost. And HUD has the authority to change that. Only HUD can allow me to live in my home and to allow others like me to remain in their homes until they die. They're making provisions now for new reverse mortgages, but what about us? Everyone seems to be concerned about housing for illegal aliens, for taking care of others from other countries. What about us, those that were born here? We are America. At least we used to be. Can you help? If not me, help someone else.